Do you know why the accountant or financial manager or even the chartered accountant doesn't command as much respect as our good doctor? It is because the latter can look at our blood test, x-ray, diagram, CT scan made by the pathology lab, then asking us some questions about the symptoms we are experiencing. He can tell us what is our diagnosis and then make a recommendation for the medicines to take. Eventually, our illness is cured. But the former has to spend 80% or more of his time just preparing the reports, and that too takes so long. Consequently, he can't make a diagnosis of the problem that the company is facing, let alone making a recommendation. Some good chartered accountants are able to tell you the problem, but because the big chunk of their effort was gone into the preparation of the report and its analysis, they talk in their jargon that doesn't make sense to the layman. Consequently, even though the former was supposed to be the doctor of the financial health of the company, he just got stuck in being the pathologist. Somehow in the medical field, the distinction between the one who make pathological reports and the one who makes a diagnosis is very clear. But in the field of finance, that stage never occurred. That is until now. In the process of writing this book, I've been experimenting with AI rigorously. Today, I have found that now, using AI, the financial consultant can command as much respect as the medical consultant. This is possible because once we get the three financial reports, that is the profit and loss statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement from the accounts department, we can upload it into an AI chatbot. Myself, I use Gemini. Then by training it, this large language model can do the hardest and longest part of financial analysis. You can see the diagrams below. They were produced by AI with a single prompt after the training, which is nothing more than a series of prompts, which is nothing more than a series of iterations until you get the desired output. I don't know why nobody has come up with this app yet in the age of calculators for trigonometry and calculus, but it is doable. So what I trained the LLM to do is what the student of finance is taught in a bachelor's degree and master's degree. Instead of being taught how to make the diagnosis based on the reports, the students are forced to do pathology. That part can be outsourced to AI. Let me describe the framework for the financial diagnosis that student of finance should be able to do. So what a finance student should be able to do that I have trained the AI to do, as you can see in the diagram below, is to analyze the three financial reports on the left side of a company. Then it calculates three ratios, the first one being the net profit margin, followed by the return on equity, and the third one being debt to equity ratio. The values are taken from the financial reports on the left. Then based on those ratios. I have trained the AI to provide a rating of how much that company is leveraging or ignoring the 3 principles of finance, as you can see in the table. The rating is out of 10. Before, finance class would be spent in preparing this report based on the 3 financial reports. It takes a lot of intelligence, but LLM is better at that than humans. Now we can focus on the most important thing of what a financial manager or expert or consultant should do, which is a diagnosis and recommendation part. Before I do that for the 3 companies below, let me explain to you what the ratios and the 3 financial principles mean in terms of the medical analogy. While most of us have been to the doctor more times than we wished we had, very few of us have had our company diagnosed by a financial consultant. So even though we know nothing about what doctors study in their MBBS, by association, we know enough to know when a doctor is good and when he is talking nonsense, and even when he is trying to dupe us for various reasons. First, you must understand that the financial reports are, as we have discussed, the blood tests that are based on the blood drawn from the patient. But because the 3 financial reports are exhaustive, I have to say that they are more than a blood test. They are also the CT scan, the X-ray diagram, the PET scan, the urine test, and whatnot, including the readings from the stethoscope and the blood pressure machine. So, like the doctor, our financial consultant receives all those reports in the form of the 3 financial reports. The problem is that individually, each report do not necessarily tell a full story and don't help in making a diagnosis of what is the ailment. Similarly, just by knowing one heading in the financial report, like the net income, is not going to tell much of the story about that company. For example, upon taking the thermometer reading, somebody has got a fever. But unless I, as a doctor, find a relation of that fever with another component, let's say the level of hemoglobin in the blood or red blood cell, I will not be able to rule out that this person has dengue or not, because that disease has been spreading widely at that period of time in that area. What I'm trying to say is that the doctor's strength is not just in reading the individual components of the various reports, but it's in making not mathematical but intellectual and conceptual ratios between one component and another one. For example, somebody might come with a severe headache, saying that feels like he's going to die. Then the doctor, checking the other reports, finds that there is no problem in the blood pressure. So by comparing these 2 crucial components, he tells the patient not to worry and to sleep it over after taking some cetamol or aspirin. Then, as the doctor said, the next day he's all fine. So this ability to make connections between different components of the reports is what makes a doctor a great doctor. The same holds true for the financial consultant. In the ratio analysis of net profit margin and return on equity and debt to equity ratio, you can see that headings from different reports are combined into a single ratio that produce a number. Sometimes it's a fraction, sometimes it's a percentage. Then, based on it, the doctor can tell whether the company is sick in terms of one or more of the three principles of finance. To put this in perspective, we again use the analogy of medical science. Whatever measurement our blood test, the X-ray, the CT scan, and so on make, they will have an effect on our various bodily systems. It would be more accurate to say that the converse is more true. That is, the manner in which the individual has affected his bodily system through his behavior affects the various reports. But when we see it on paper, both angles seem to be correct. In fact, at this point, it doesn't matter. We're just using it as an analogy. Continuing on, let's say that we only have three bodily systems: the heart system, the digestive system, and the nervous system. What our pathology reports and then the various intellectual ratios, as we have discussed, will tell us is that this person has been affected by a virus or bacteria, or is living in such a way that one or more of these three systems is affected positively or negatively. That makes sense, right? Similarly, the ratios like net profit margin, ROE, and debt equity ratio, but not limited to them, show how the financial behavior of the owners or members of the company has affected the three principles or bodily systems of the company. They are time value of money, TVM, risk return trade-off, RRT, and capital allocation, CA. Based on that, we can say whether the company is healthy, sick, or bankrupt. It's like saying that once we know the condition of the person's heart, digestion, and nervous system, we can tell whether he is healthy, sick, or about to die. That's what makes a great doctor. The better and faster he can tell this, the more respect he commands. The same holds true for the financial consultant. So now let's make the diagnosis for three companies. For ease, I have provided a diagnosis in the title itself, which is something that you would have to find yourself afterwards in the real world. Nonetheless, this is a good way to get the skills of financial consulting. Again, this is possible because of artificial intelligence, which has done the pathological work for us. Also, it has already done half of the diagnosis part of producing the ratios and even linking them to the three principles of finance. So all the doctor has got to do is just read out and explain and declare the diagnosis. So let's start with the first company called Aurora Ventures. It's a healthy company. First, take a look at the three financial reports combined into one table. As you can see, the asset is 1.5 million. The liabilities is 500,000. The total owner's equity is 1 million. The revenue in that year is 2 million. The net income is 350K. The cash flow is 1,450,000. You have to remember that this is based on the source documents, namely invoice, receipts, journal entries, bank statements, salary sheets, expense, and everything entered through a journal into the double entry system. Then it produced a trial balance, and then it produced the 3 financial reports, of which this is a summary. Now, based on that, we have to consider 3 very important ratios, but we need to do more ratios for better understanding of the company in the real world. For understanding, the 3 would be enough. So the net profit margin, which shows the percentage of revenue remaining after all the expenses, is obtained by the formula net income divided by revenue. So in this company, the calculation goes like this: 350K divided by 2 million is equal to 0.175, which is equal to 17.5%. So the net profit margin is 17.5. What it means, we'll find out later. Then the next ratio is the return on equity, ROE, which indicates how efficiently a company uses its equity to generate profit. The formula is net income divided by total owner's equity. The calculation goes like this. Again, 350K divided by 1 million is equal to 0.35, which is 35%. What this means, again, we'll find out when we know the effect on the 3 principles, or the equivalent of bodily systems that we discussed earlier. The third ratio is the debt equity ratio. It shows the proportion of financing from debt versus equity. The formula is total liabilities divided by total owner's equity, and the calculation goes 500,000 divided by a million, which is 0.5. Now, what do these figures mean in terms of the principles of financial analysis? It's like telling what does the combination of a fever and higher level of cholesterol mean? Well, it might mean that there's a problem in the heart. Yes, it's something like this. So let's see how this company performs in terms of the 3 principles. So the first one, the time value of money, TVM. The key metric is the net profit margin, and it's 17.5 here. And the other key metric is the ROE, which is 35%. Now, out of 10, the AI has concluded that this company is leveraging principle of TVM 8 out of 10. This means that the company is turning a significant portion of the revenue into profit, generating impressive returns for its owner. Who doesn't want that? The next principle is the risk-return trade-off, or RRT. The key metric is the debt to equity ratio, which is 0.5. As per the AI, this company is leveraging this principle 9 out of 10. This means that the lower debt minimizes risks and shows a conservative yet profitable strategy. Finally, in terms of capital allocation, CA, the key metric is only one component here, the net cash flow, which is 450K. And in terms of this component, the company is leveraging 8 out of 10. This means that the company is generating significantly more cash than it's spending, providing a strong financial cushion for the future growth. In this way, because it's leveraging all the three principles, this company is very healthy. It is like saying, because this person's heart is in such a good shape, the digestive system is such in good shape, and the nervous system is such in good shape, this person is declared healthy. Now let's go to the second company, which is Zenith Group. It is a struggling company. You can look at the financial statements. Now that you are educated about the various ratios and the principles, I will not go through in details, but I will just directly go into the analysis of the principles of finance. What we have found out is this company is basically ignoring the time value of money, or TVM. Its score is -4. The AI has given it a negative rating. This is because the net profit margin, as you can see, is -4%, and the ROE is -10%. This means that the negative income shows the company is destroying value actively, working against compounding growth. It's everything a company shouldn't be doing. Then in terms of the risk return trade-off, the debt to equity ratio is 4. This is saying that this company is ignoring this principle so much that it's given a rating almost -10 out of 10, but it's -8 here. The company has taken on excessive risks through debt without return to justify it. That's what it means. Finally, the capital allocation. The net cash flow is -520K. It's a disaster, and AI says that it has ignored it, -10 out of 10. So the company is losing cash uncontrollably, a sign of poor resource management. So this is a struggling company. That's the diagnosis. In terms of medicine, what would be implied is this person has got a very bad heart, poor digestive system, and his nervous system is totally hacked. Of course, mind you, this is just an analogy so that you can relate the task and the skill that you are learning to what we see in daily life, what we hear in it. Finally, we move to Nexus Technologies, which is a bankrupt company. Again, we go directly to the state. The owners and the members of this company have taken this company in terms of the three principles. It's like saying what kind of virus or bacteria has infected this person, or how well or badly has this person lived, so that we will be telling by understanding the effect on his heart, digestive system, and nervous system. So Nexus Technologies, as you can see in the table of the principle of financial analysis, has totally ignored -10 out of -10, the three principles of finance. As you can see, the net profit margin is -100. The return on equity is so skewed that the value of 1.25 is not even a useful indicative metric, and the debt to equity ratio is -3.5. In terms of time value of money, The negative profit margin shows the company is destroying value at an alarming rate. In terms of risk-return trade-off, the liabilities are double the assets, presenting a complete loss of owner's value. And in terms of capital allocation, the company is losing cash uncontrollably, a sign of total failure in the managing of resources. This company is gone. If it were a person, we can say that his heart is totally clogged and at the breaking point. His digestive system is destroyed. Maybe the kidney has failed or the liver, and the nervous system is also destroyed. Maybe his brain has got a tumor or something. Yeah, so this person is terminally ill. That's what it means that this company is bankrupt. So in conclusion, what we have done here is what any good doctor is doing in the millions of clinics around the world. I know you couldn't study medicine and thus couldn't do your MBBS, meaning that you could not become a doctor. But being an accountant and then a finance manager or financial consultant or chartered accountant is being a doctor of organizations. As I have shown you, you are supposed to find out which company is healthy, which is sick, and which is bankrupt. Although I provided the answer at the beginning here, in the real world, you'll have to derive the answer. Nonetheless, I'm sure that you got the gist of what I wanted to say. It is this ignorance of the diagnostic skills of finance students that has taken the charm away from the studies of accounts and finance. Since childhood, we go to the doctor and we know what he does. He reads the reports and then makes a diagnosis. But none of us are exposed to expert financial consultants, and they exactly do that for the companies. That's why CFOs are paid such humongous amounts, and that's why most CEOs come from finance. But this knowledge has been kept secret for too long. Now I've exposed it. Not only that, I've revealed my own secret that by using AI, you can do away with the most tedious, lengthy, pathological part of financial analysis. I hope that in this section you observed what a financial consultant is supposed to do. This will help you love accounts and finance and study hard, suffer the pain, but like any good doctor, you'll get a reward. You too will be rewarded for the grind that you went through. Now you know what skills you need to have. There is no excuse not to love this subject anymore.